Okay, I was reading some things about John the Baptist's execution to you, which we did a little bit, but I just wanted to show you, for instance, how the Gospels, we're going to get to all these things when we read the Gospels as we're doing, seem to really, it depends who you trust more, the Gospels or Josephus. It's all very complicated. He's very into it. This is a whole genealogy here. I wouldn't want to give you the whole thing, but it also talks of, basically shows that niece marriage is their preferred form of behavior. Agrippa, one, had by Cyprus, his wife, 2 sons and 3 daughters. The daughters were Bernice, Miriam, and Drusilla. Drusilla, by the way, appears in Acts. The sons were Agrippa II, and another son that died in infancy. Anyway, so he goes on in that in that regard. Let's see. Then another person, Herod, the brother of this Agrippa, married Miriam, the daughter of Olympias, who was the daughter of Herod the king. Blah 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 blah. So he goes into pretty great detail here. The names repeated themselves. This is in chapter 18 of the book 18 of the Antiquities, chapter 5. But Herodias, their sister, was married to Herod, the son of Herod the Great, who was born of Miriam, the daughter of Simon the high priest, the one he imported from Egypt, the daughter of Boethus. So this Herod, after, and it's very complicated, having his first wife Miriam, the Maccabean Miriam, executed. That's why it's all very interesting to go into such detail if you care about this period. He married another, he had 10 wives, but he married another Miriam, again the daughter of a high priest, but this time one he imported from Egypt, who we spoke about when we talked about the tax uprising that her brother, Joazar, I think his name was, son of Boethus, the high priest from Egypt, preached that the people should pay the tax to Rome. That's really interesting situation there. Anyway, this Herodias had a daughter, Salome. That's how we know her name. After his birth, Herodias took upon herself to disobey the laws of her fatherland, Palestine, and divorce herself, which is forbidden in Jewish law, you see. So I'm not saying it's not right, a woman maybe should be able to, but in Jewish law, if you may not know it, a woman, just like Islamic law, cannot divorce her husband. It has to go the other way around. These were pretty primitive things. I'm sure most laws at that time, it was that way, so I wouldn't blame the Jews particularly for that particular custom. Anyway, divorced herself from her husband while he was still alive, and was married to Herod Antipas, her husband's brother, by her father's side, another niece marriage. All these are niece marriages. He was Tetrarch of Galilee, that is Herod Antipas, the second husband that she wanted, or that wanted her. But her daughter Salome was married to Philip, the son of Herod, and Tetrarch of Trachonitis, and he died childless. So you see, I know it's very difficult without you reading this yourself. Salome was married to Philip, and it's she who, and it is he who died childless. So the whole issue of raising seed up to your brother and everything that the Gospels bring into, we're going to start the chorus outside, bring into the equation, you see, probably springs from this issue of the childlessness or not childlessness, but in fact, it wasn't Herodias who was married to Philip. It was the daughter who was married to Philip. And that, I mean, most people just, obviously the Gospels are easier to deal with because they're more people-friendly. This narrative is really tough. But I urge you to look at it for yourself, because I don't want to, force feed you or demand you believe or not believe anything. I just want you to weigh the evidence yourself. And here's a really good example of where our narratives have it really very superficially wrong. They don't know the name of Salome. There's nothing here about dancing. you know, to make, to get the head of John the Baptist and all that sort of thing. We read the death of John the Baptist. So what? Maybe the Gospels have it right and Josephus just doesn't know those details. Yeah, that may be. That's for you to be the determiner of. You're the jury. I'm just the prosecuting attorney, or the, whatever you want to call it, the witness for the defense, depending on who's the defense and who's the offense in certain things. So sometimes I feel like both, the witness for the defense and the prosecuting aggressor. But anyway, the defense I often mount is for the people of Judea and Palestine, and the sort of very unseemly things that have been spread through history as authentic, which have brought about great tragedies for all sides. So therefore you say, you're not a defense. Yeah, I am a defense, so it looks like offense. I must admit that. In any case, you're the final arbiters, and I urge you not to depend on my reading. I just want to show you that that's there. We don't have to make any conclusions now, because we're going to go back to the gospel presentation of these things, and then we can talk about what we think is the actual important matter. Now, let me just see. I was reading when we got rudely interrupted last time. We were rudely interrupted when I read you this material from 4 BC. Now, I know it's hard to follow. In the Antiquities, I read you the material about Sadduq and Judas the Galilean, who preached the tax rebellion against the Romans when the Roman governor Quirinius came to Palestine. When Palestine was taken away from Archelaus, one of Herod's sons, because he was unable to control the unruliness of the population. Now, I think it's good to note how deep the unrest is here. You know, we're in 4 BC, 7 AD. You know, it isn't really a peaceful scene in a creche in Bethlehem with Silent Night playing. It's just a very, it's like portraying modern Baghdad like that. That is not the situation in any shape, way, or form that you're getting in Josephus. Now, you'll decide which is accurate or both. Again, you're the ones for yourselves. My job is to try to do